Well, viewers, here I am. I've just been for a drive up and down the hill with my new Hardi fuel pump there, which I can recommend. And there's the fuel line going in, and there it is at the bottom coming out. But to cut to the chase, you'll see a bit of a lash up of wiring there going onto a green wire that was coupled to this washer pump. And that was the solution. I've got a new coil as well. Putting in the new pump wasn't too hard. Doing a bracket and fitting it all in there so that it fitted, that was very difficult. I had that bracket on about 64 different ways until, you know, with the bolts coming this way, that way, cutting them off so the fuel pump would come on, and then having the terminals at the bottom where I could put connections on, and then the earth where that could fit. So that took ages, trying it all the different ways on a piece of galvanized steel that's strong. The blanking plate at the bottom, that fitted. Fitting the hose onto the metal fuel pipe from the back, which still had the olive on, that went okay because the olive acted as a sort of a flare on the end, and that's not leaking. Fitting that up onto there and pulling the nylon pipe, cutting the nylon pipe off, that went okay, and it's much better to have a fuel filter that you can see into. But then when I connected it all up, which I thought to the coil, which is how I've connected the fuel pump on the X19, how it was, it just wouldn't work. So I found out all now about ballasted coils and how they work on 9 volts to save the points apparently, so it wasn't giving 12 for that. And it took me a long while to realise about, to work out about ballasted coils, which are a good idea. It said ballasted coil and a Lucas from the 70s, I think. They do save the points and ignition system, but I'd never had one before. So anyway, I found out those, and then I thought, well, I may as well get a new coil. Of course, it was ancient, so I got a new coil. Still didn't work. Tried all sorts of, tested it this way and that way with the... See, it would give 12 volts without it being connected to the coil, but once you connected it to the coil, it drained it out. So I thought, goodness, I'm going to need 12 volts from somewhere else. And then I got the book out and was looking at the wiring diagram and asking people and all the rest of it. And thinking I would have to go from the alternator, have a wire over there, or the relay up over there, or perhaps a separate wire from the fuse box and then through the bulkhead. And then I was looking and looking and looking at the wiring diagram in the book, not a Haynes book, another one, and now I know pretty much all about that wiring diagram. And I realised there was one wire coming from the fuse in the fuse box in the inside, and it was 35 amp, switched through the ignition, and it came all the way down there, just to that little motor there. So I've disconnected it for the moment. Like I say, I'll get some proper... do it properly. I've piggybacked it on all sorts of things at the moment. But and then the moment you turn the key, the fuel pump started chattering, and when I connected the coil, the engine started, and I've just taken it up the hill, and there wasn't a slightest hesitation, and it will keep the everything cool. I'm going to put some silver hose on that pipe there, the insulation, and some other places when I've had a bit of a rest. But there we are. I spent all of yesterday up until about 5 o'clock trying to find out where I could get 12 volts, and it was there all the time. Couldn't have been closer. Look, all in the same shot. So if you're going to do a fuel pump, electric fuel pump, and I recommend them. I did do up the old one, but the mechanical, the AC Delco, but that's where the power comes from there. And I recommend a Hardi pump at the front because they suck as well as blow. A lot of the pumps, I think the Facet, they're very good at blowing but not sucking, but this does both. And this is a high capacity one, and all came from Germany, the hoses, everything. So there we go. That's it, viewers. But gee, my mind didn't... I was sat looking at the book, and suddenly, well, not suddenly, after a while, I didn't know what I was thinking. My brain had worn out. So there we go, and that'll be connected up. And you see, that wasn't working because it was connected to that. So whoever fitted the Kenlo in had never had it working because it's taking 12 volts, and they were taking it from the old coil and it wouldn't. But now, of course, I'll take it from this line here. And so there we go, folks. I've got, hopefully, new headlights coming either today or Monday. but I took it up and back, right up the hill. That's one good thing about Cornwall, you've got very steep hills, and you'll certainly know if it's going all right. I've put a little yellow arrow on to show which way the fuel's going, but it's good to have a clear filter there. So that's from poor old David. Let's have a look at him. You'll see his shaky camera. Fancy criticising my camera work, shaky camera. But here we are. Oh, goodness gracious, viewers. And what am I wearing? Just whatever was on the floor in the bedroom. That's my fit thing, Linda. So Reg in Australia and Chris and any of the people, Linda of course, and this is what I looked like today. An old dishevelled man. But I did shave. I've not gone to pot. So there we go. One last look at the engine. Oh, my Rover V8 does sound good. All the best to you all. Bye bye.